everybody. It's been a while. I thought that I would give you an update on how everything is doing with my indoor plants. I've been pretty busy with everything during our quarantine and downtime. We got a lot of house projects done. We put in some raised beds in my outdoor gardens. We built a shed, which is really cool. More place to hold plant stuff, I guess. And meanwhile, my houseplants have been doing pretty well. So I thought that I would show you some of my favorites and, kind of give you a little bit of an update. I really wanted to show you some of my Hoyas. I put them all in one spot, which I wasn't able to do before because it was an unheated sunroom. Although because the weather has been really nice up here in Massachusetts, the sunroom has been a really happy place for them. So they're doing really well. So let's just get going. So well, first of all, I wanted to show you, and this is sort of a brag, but I have my variegated monstera plant here. And if you see up here, there's a brand new leaf coming out. It's almost all white. I'm super excited to see what it looks like. The last one that came out that probably would have been all white, I won't tell you exactly what happened, but it was my fault and part of the leaf broke off. I was kind of upset. The next one that came in was all green, and so I thought for sure I had reverted, but it was really cool to see this one popping up, so I'm really, really excited about that. The other thing that I am really excited about is my Hoya Crimson Queen. So this is one that I think I bought it a year or 2 years ago, and it looks like it had been in bloom when I bought it, but it was past that point. I didn't know then what I knew now, so I cut off the peduncles, and that is not what you're supposed to do. I think you're supposed to leave them because that's where peduncles continue to form or rebloom or whatever. But anyways, so this plant, I actually used one of those little Miracle Grow sticks. It had a high middle number, which I've heard is really good for flowering, and I was having trouble finding a fertilizer that had that. So my mom told me about those sticks. I used one of the sticks maybe about 2 months ago, and I don't know if it's definitely put out a lot of new growth. It has some pink leaves. It looks really, really healthy. This is in a south-facing window and pretty much full sun. But what I am most excited about is that I got my first ever Hoya bloom. There, look at that. So when I saw this, my heart dropped a little bit. There's actually 2 of them. Here's another one. They're not opened. It took, by the time, they were actually little tiny little buds for, I don't know, I want to say like a month or so. And just a few days ago, it fully opened. I've never had a Hoya bloom before. I've heard they have to be really happy in order to do that. And again, this is one that had bloomed before, so it's a pretty mature plant. But it's everything I could have dreamed of. So it is very fragrant. I don't notice the scent when I walk by like I've heard other people say, but I do sometimes smell it. And so this is a Hoya carnosa, Crimson Queen, and it does sort of smell like chocolate to me. Although I've heard other people say it kind of smells like cat pee. Thankfully, I don't notice that. But so this plant is really happy. Like I said, I use that stick, which I think you're supposed to put a new stick in every few months or so. I've also heard a lot of good things about using an orchid spray on Hoyas and using it on everything but the flowers. And I did that to my other Hoyas a few days ago. So, no other blooms yet, but they're all doing pretty well where they are, which unfortunately they won't be able to stay year round, but whatever. So that is a pretty exciting development in this house. And another Hoya that I wanted to show you was this little sunrise cutting. I really like this little pot. I don't know if you can see it, but it has a little face. So I got this as a free gift with another, I think I bought a Hoya Rebecca. And so this was given to me just as a little cutting. It wasn't rooted. So I ended up putting it in water. I don't think I had it in the right spot for a while. There wasn't enough sun. So it really did nothing. Finally, I ended up moving it near where my other Hoya lives into a south-facing full sun window, and it finally put out roots. I finally put it in a little pot, For a while, it was hard to get it to stay in the pot because I think the roots were just so immature. Um, but I've actually moved this plant into my bathroom window, which is a north-facing window. Um, and it has put out a lot of new growth. If you look at these leaves, they're not as variegated or, rosy, I guess I'll say, as I would like in some of the older leaves, but I've heard that they do that as they mature. So one thing that I just will interrupt myself with is I'm learning a lot more about the light patterns in my house. So, this is north, that's south. Oh geez, now I'm backward. So that's east and this is west. And I always thought, okay, everything in my south-facing windows will automatically do great. But because the sun has been a little bit higher in the sky, the plants that got a lot of sun over the winter time actually aren't getting as much. They all seem to be okay. And, again, we're getting the sun rises, probably 6 a.m. here, maybe not super bright at 6, but the sun's been setting at 7:30 or 8. So it has definitely a longer period where it's getting sunshine. But I've also been able to use other windows in ways that I didn't before. So that's been kind of cool. I've been paying attention to that. So next is, so this is a Hoya pubicalyx. I have another one downstairs that I'll show you that has a little bit more splash on it. But what I wanted to show you were these super cool little bamboo trellises, which I bought from Home Depot. I can put the link below. And I really like, when you go on Instagram and you see Hoyas that are climbing up trellises and whatever, I really like that look. So I was kind of lusting over it for a while. And finally I bought some. I really like the metal round hangers, but they're kind of expensive. So this was a pack of 5 for maybe $15 or so. And I bought 2 of them, which may have been overdoing it because I've only used 3. But whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool. And like I said, I'll put the link below. This Hoya is about 6 feet away from my south windows, but it's doing really well. I'm going to put you on pause for a minute. Okay, I'm back. So the last plant I wanted to show you in this portion was my Begonia whitey. I don't know what it's called. Whitey, I don't know. But, oh geez, it's awful big. So I bought 2 of these online over the winter. I had never grown begonias before. I thought they wouldn't do well, but this one is doing really, really, really well. You can see how it's put out a lot of new growth. It's just really loving life right now. I love the spots on this plant. I've heard that they will flower when they're really happy. This one I have probably about 8 feet away from a south-facing window. So it definitely gets enough light, I think. And then I'm also, this is just something that I do. I don't know if this is right. But I make sure to keep it pretty moist too. I water it. There's a few plants that I water maybe more frequently than my other plants. And this is one, and my other begonias. And it seems to be doing pretty well, and with what I've been doing to keep it up. I bought an outdoor begonia at one of my local garden centers, and maybe I should have known better because I do have begonias as houseplants, but I really didn't realize that they get burned easily in direct sunlight. So I had this one particular plant in direct sun, and the leaves burned. So I've put it into a shady spot, my little outdoor lounge area, and it's much happier. And now that I know that, I don't feel so bad about not having all my houseplant begonias in necessarily direct sunlight. But most of them do seem to do pretty well in bright indirect light. So I'm still learning about that. This plant, the one I showed you with the speckles, I was really excited about, and I'm really happy that it's doing well. So the other one I have is doing well too. So thanks for watching. I'm going to add in some clips of my outdoor garden and my little Hoya happy place. So this is my little Hoya space. We're out in my sunroom, which is also known as the cat room. But I have my other Hoya pubicalis here with that same little bamboo trellis. I have another Hoya Crimson Queen. I have a Hoya Bella, which is here. This one, I have these little labels. A Hoya Lacunosa, which I've heard smells like cinnamon, I think, when it flowers. This is my Hoya Australis Lisa. I actually bought a couple of cuttings of this particular plant, and I don't know if the roots weren't established or maybe I was watering it too much, but the cuttings unfortunately died. They were so beautiful. But this one is doing pretty well where it is. It does have some new growth at the tip. It's not pink like I dreamed it would be, but it's still pretty nice. I have some anthurium back here too. They also seem to like it in this. It's really hot and humid out here. I forget what variety or whatever this is, but. And then I have my Hoya macrophylla variegata. And this is also a plant that I had trouble with. There were so many more leaves on it, but they just kept yellowing and falling off. So I think I had it in a pot that was too big, so I ended up putting it in a smaller pot. And now, as you can see, there's 2 little baby leaves on it. So this is another anthurium that I bought online. It's kind of a pricey plant. It's definitely putting out new growth. The leaves that are already there are a little damaged, which sometimes you can expect if you're buying plants in the mail. This is Hoya Wyetii. Then I have, so this was just a little cutting, Hoya Acuta Splash, I think, is this one. And the roots look pretty good in there. So this was rooting in water, and just the other day I put it in an orchid bark mix. There we go. And it's doing pretty well. And then this is my Hoya, I don't know how to say this one, Hoya Mathilde. Which is also doing pretty well. I just repotted this one too. And there's an old peduncle, which I've learned to not even mess with. But this one is pretty healthy, and these leaves here are new growth. This is my Hoya Australis regular. I put that on a little trellis the other day. It's really just one long vine. I have another anthurium, which is a pretty common variety, and it puts out these little purple flowers. And then I have my Hoya Obovata Splash. So sorry they're all kind of clumped up together, but they seem to be pretty happy where they are. Definitely get enough indirect light, enough humidity, but I think they look pretty good. And I have some plant supplies down here, but you don't have to see that. So that's my little Hoya collection. I have some more around the house, but I put as many as I could out here. I put a little grow light up, but it really doesn't need it. So here are my garden beds. I have my tomatoes over there, and I have some onions and beans in the middle. I have peppers and eggplant, marigold, some okra in the far right bed. And then I have some kale and lettuce, which is just about to bolt, some Swiss chard, some arugula, and this is all my garlic, which I think for the most part is pretty much ready to come out. And then when the bed is free, I'll put in some compost and loam, and I think I'm going to put my dahlias there. So it's looking pretty good. And then on the other side I have my squash bed, but it doesn't look as nice as these. So I also, you can't see, I have 2 little containers in the back with my herbs.